5.6, day 2, picking up where we left off. Today we're going to go over the parallel lines and perpendicular lines. Easy for me to say. Oh, thank you. I'll do that right now.
Please.
Parallel lines. Now you guys are learning to drive. You're going to parallel park. That means your car has to be parallel with the curb. So this is the sign that stands for parallel. Two lines running parallel. They could be running that way parallel. That's the sign you see, but that doesn't mean they have to be running vertical to be parallel. They could be running like this to be parallel. They could be like this to be parallel. They don't have to be vertical to be parallel. But that's the sign for parallel. And what does that mean? These lines could go on forever and ever. They do not intersect. They do not intersect. And they have the same what? What will they have? They will have the same, starts with an S.
Size.
Who are we working with?
Shape.
They will have the same slope. Perpendicular lines. This is the sign for perpendicular. When you're driving for your test, you do not want to park perpendicular to the curb. You will flunk. Perpendicular lines, they intersect. They at one point will cross. They intersect. And make a what? What do they make? When these two lines intersect, what are they making? They make a right angle. How many degrees is a right angle? 90-degree angle. All right. Now it asks us in example 4, write the parallel slope and the perpendicular slope of each given slope. So m equals, that means the slope equals a -4. If I want to make a parallel line to that, what will its slope have to be? If I wanted to run side by side, be parallel, what did we just say? If they're parallel, they never intersect and they have the same slope. So for it to be parallel, what does it have to be? That one also has to have a -4 slope. So how about a parallel slope if the slope is 0? It would have to be a 0 also. To be parallel, it's a 0. What kind of a line is slope of a 0 again? Vertical or horizontal? That is horizontal. All right, what's the parallel slope to this one? If it has a slope of 2, it has to be 2. Parallel to 3/8, 3 over 8, 3 over 8. Okay, so parallel slopes, in order to be parallel, they have to have the exact same slope. Now, if we want that line to change at a 90-degree angle, all we have to do now then, for the perpendicular part of it, you take your slope. First of all, we have to turn it into a ratio. So how do I turn a -4 into a ratio? -4 over 1. Okay? Now the perpendicular one, we want those now, instead of running parallel, we want that to turn at a 90-degree. We want it to go and intersect it at a 90-degree angle. So you do the inverse, you flip your ratio. We have a 1 over 4 now. All right. And then the direction, if it's a, is this a negative? This is a negative slope. You have to change the direction of the slope. Instead of negative, it is now just a positive. So you have to change the sign of the slope. So if it's positive, you change it to negative. If it's negative, you change it to positive. And you flip them. How about if the slope is 0? That's 0 over 1. So if you flip that, you're going to have 1 over 0, which means what?
Negative.
Okay, even if we change a positive to negative, but 0's on the bottom, that's bad. Now we turn it into an undefined slope. So if it went from a 0 slope to make it perpendicular, obviously if you have a horizontal 0 slope, to make something, another line intersect it, you have to have a vertical line to go through it. So that's the undefined slope. So take this one, 2 over 1, flip it, what do I get? Perpendicular slope of 1 over 2. Am I done? What do I need to do? This is a positive 2 over 1. I flip it. 1 over 2, but it can't be positive. It needs to now be what? A negative. All right? What do we get here? If I want a perpendicular to 3/8, flip it. 8 over 3. Change the sign. It's positive here. It has to be negative here. Now I don't just give you the slope. I'm going to make you calculate the slopes for both this one where I give you 2 points and this one where I give you the table. And then it asks, are the lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So first of all, I'm going to pause the video so you guys can figure out the slopes for both. We'll see if we come up with the same slopes first off. If we don't have the same slopes, can't fill out the other one. So figure out both slopes. All right, when we figure the slope out here, y minus y, so I have 7 minus 10 over x minus x, 5 minus 4. What does that equal? What's 7 minus 10? Negative 3. What's 5 minus 4? 1. So my slope is a negative 3, or negative 3 over 1. Over here, we will go, you can either do the pattern. What did you have to do from 0 to get to 3? You added 3, right? What did you have to do from 0 to 1? Add 1. So you put your y on the top, 3 over 1. So your slope is 3, or 3 over 1 for the table. Now it asks us, if this has a slope of a negative 3, or a negative 3 over 1, same thing, and this one has a slope of 3, are they parallel? Yes or no? No. Why? They are not the same. They're not the same, so we know they are not parallel. So we don't circle that one. How about perpendicular? Did we take this one, flip it, and then change the sign? No, we didn't, did we? We changed the sign, but we didn't flip it. It's not 1 over 3. It's 3 over 1. So then, therefore, they're neither parallel, they're not perpendicular. So what are they? You would circle neither in that case. You'd have a graph, and you'd have one maybe going like this, and you'd have one going like this. I'm gonna do that one up. Maybe have one going like this. So it's not, this is going to be more than 90 degrees. They'll intersect, but not at a 90-degree angle. So they're not parallel, they're not perpendicular, so they're neither. Let's practice another one. Okay, so this one, you figure out the slope by looking at the graph, pick any 2 points on here, and simplify. Come over here. Do I know the slope here? I don't know if we did one like this. If I just give you the equation right here. Y equals 1/2 x minus 5. Remember in our first day notes we said y equals mx, and and m is our slope, that formula. So by looking at this equation, what's my slope? There's no, you should love this one because you don't have to do any figuring or simplifying or anything.
1/2.
Exactly. Looking right here, it's 1/2. My slope in that equation, right here, mx. So my slope here is 1/2. Pick your 2 points here. What was my hint for you if you didn't want to do as much simplifying? What should you do? Pick
Close
2 points.
together.
Yes, thank you. Yes, indeed. Pick 2 points close together. So here's one. Here's one. Rise over run. So I run how many? 1, 2 to the right. Is that a positive 2 or a negative 2?
Positive.
And then I go up 1. So your slope in this case is 1/2, 1/2. Which one of those 3 words do I circle? Who says parallel? Who says perpendicular? Who says neither? Good. Majority rules. They are parallel. Why? They're exactly the same. All right, I'm going to give you a couple seconds to do letter C on your own. So if you're watching the video, pause it at this point so you can figure out the 2 slopes and see what you get circled. So what did you get? What word did you circle?
Neither.
Neither? Who got neither? Raise your hand. Who got parallel? Everybody get perpendicular? All right, well, let's see who's right. What did I do here? If I'm looking at this one, my pattern changed from 4 to 5. I added 1. From 0 to 1, I added 1 here too. So it's 1/1, which equals 1. Over here, you pick your 2 points.
Wait. Just subtract 4.
Yep, you could do it that way too. You could go 4 minus.
But how do you get 1 supposed to add?
Well, look at it. If you would have subtracted them, if you would have went 4 minus 5, you would have ended up with a -1.
What
0
about-
minus 1 is a -1. Negative divided by negative still equals a +1.
What about added?
So you look for the pattern here, and it's 1, 1, 1. All right, how about over here now? First of all, look at this graph. What direction is it going? It is going in a negative direction. So it's a negative, and we went left 1, up 1. So it's a -1/1. So we have a +1 and a -1. So what are they? We know they're not parallel because they're not the same. How about this 1/1? To make it perpendicular, I would have to flip them around. That would still be 1/1. And I'd have to change the sign to make it negative. So what does that mean these 2 are? They are perpendicular. Perpendicular is what those 2 are. Your homework. Number 11 on page 9 and all of page 10 due tomorrow.